StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, that's why we play the games. Now, this one is a metaphorical topic that I will explain to you very simply. It's all about the mindset. It's all about the mindset of understanding that just because things may not be looking the way that you want them to look right now does not mean that the game is over. Just because things aren't going your way doesn't mean this will always be the case, nor does this mean that this is the end of your story. And again, this is a mindset that you want to have installed because all of you, as ambitious people with big goals who want to do a lot better than the average individual, the bigger your goals are, understand the more time you may spend having not reached your goals or being in a situation where it looks like you are so far away from your goal that it may seem or appear on a practical level impossible for you to ever reach that goal. And I'm borrowing this concept, that's why they play the games, from a guy who used to work on ESPN. His name was Steve Berman. Some of you may be familiar with him if you are a sports fan. You've been watching sports for more than a few decades. You probably had to be over the age of 35 to remember Steve Berman. Now, he often did the NFL breakdowns on ESPN. They had this show called, what was it called? I think it was called NFL Primetime. And it would come on ESPN on Sunday nights after most of the games had been completed. So it was in between the 1 o'clock and the 4 o'clock games would come on Eastern time. Then there was usually a Sunday night game. But before that game, there'd be the TV show with Steve Berman and often Tom Jackson just breaking down what had happened in the games. And he would use this term after he would frame some game that happened that day where there was a team that was allegedly really good and another team that was allegedly really bad playing against each other. And he would frame it as, well, this team's doing so well. And he would say some things about them. And this team's doing so poorly. He would say some things about them and say, well, hey, this game is a foregone conclusion, right? And then he would say, that's why they play the games. For us to remember that just because something looks one way on paper does not mean that's the way that it's always going to play out in real life, nor does it mean that's the way it's going to stay, even if it looks like that in real life right now. Point number one, let's get into this topic. Topic once again is that's why we play the games. Number one, keep in mind that this frame applies not only when you're in a situation where you are either being overlooked or not getting your opportunity or you are losing. It also applies when you're in a situation where you are the favorite and things are working in your favor and it looks like you're winning. It applies in any situation. The point is we need to keep playing the games, which means if you're winning, don't get cocky. Do not grow complacent. Don't get arrogant simply because you and everyone else around you thinks that your success is a foregone conclusion or that you already have the success in the bag because of the current situation. All right, because that's when you can get beat too. A lot of people have gotten beat in those situations thinking that they had a guaranteed win just because it looked like a win on paper. First person that comes to mind as I'm thinking about this is Mike Tyson. Back in the 1990s, he was fighting a guy named Buster Douglas, and Mike Tyson went into that fight still very good, very talented as a fighter, but Mike didn't prepare for that fight mentally or physically the way that he should have, and he ended up getting knocked out by a guy who had no business beating him. Buster Douglas, we never should have heard of again if Mike Tyson had done his job the way he was supposed to, but because Mike Tyson forgot that you still got to play the game no matter what your name is, he ended up getting beat and turned that guy into a legend based on that one fight. Now, we don't remember much more about that guy except that one fight and one thing that he did. So there are plenty of people out there who have looked like surefire winners who ended up being losers simply because they got cocky and because they started relaxing. They took their foot off the gas. They mentally started chilling out, thinking that they could not possibly be defeated. And this is the fairy tale story of the tortoise and the hare is where it comes from. You have a tortoise, let's just say a turtle, and a hare, let's call that a rabbit. They decided to race against each other, and the rabbit thought there was no way that the tortoise could beat him. So the rabbit gets way out ahead of the tortoise in the race and lays down underneath a tree to take a nap. And the turtle, just slow and steady, one step at a time, just plods along the track, plods along the course. And finally, when the rabbit wakes up was a little bit late. By the time he wakes up and tries to speed and beat the tortoise, who has since passed him, it's too late, and the tortoise ends up winning the race. And the moral of the story is slow and steady wins the race. Now, we got to take that story with a grain of salt. It's a bullshit story, because in real life, a tortoise is never going to beat a rabbit in a race. All right, that's never going to happen. In real life, the rabbit always wins the race. But the moral of the story is about not taking your foot off the gas, which is what the rabbit did. The rabbit took his foot off the gas. If they both put their foot on the same gas pedal, there would be no race, because the tortoise's car is a little bit too slow and the rabbit's car is a whole lot too fast. But many people end up being defeated because their foot comes off the gas even a little bit. Even if you take your foot off the gas a little bit, just because you've achieved success, this is enough for somebody else to beat you, because you got to remember, when you're the person who's winning and you're in the number one position, everybody's gunning for you. Everybody's looking at you as the standard that they have to beat. So you're the one person who can't relax, because everyone else is just waiting for you to slip just so they can be good enough to possibly beat you now, because they weren't good enough yesterday. And if you slip, then they may be good enough tomorrow. And not even mentioning how much better they may become. There's a reason why in the sports world, you rarely see teams win the championship back-to-back years. And when a team is able to win the championship in back-to-back years, it's a big deal. It's a special thing. The reason why is because all the players at the professional level of a sport, all the players are very good. Even the players who are not winning, even the players who are on teams that are very bad, those players are still very good. They're very talented. They have a lot of resources. So when one team beats everybody, well, guess what everybody else does? They double and triple down on beating that winning team the next time around, so they don't keep losing. The only way that same team can win again, because they can't just do it on talent alone 99% of the time. At the pro level, you can't win championships on talent alone, because everybody has talent. So that's not a strategy. Maybe at the amateur level you can, but at the pro level you cannot. Is that the team that won, or the player that won, has to triple down on their mentality and their focus to keep winning, to win consistently. Because your bar can't be, I just want to win the championship, because you already did that. Your bar can't be, I got to beat the person who won, because you are the person who won. But your bar could be that, and if you just look at ways of beating yourself. But that's a very tough mental challenge. And again, this is the reason why it's difficult for people to repeat their successes, because the mental pressure to succeed is alleviated at least a little bit when you win the first time. So what's going to move you to win the next time? So the more successful a person becomes, the more we may relax, because we have alleviated that pressure of having not succeeded. Okay, we succeeded now. So now what? So if you have already won the last game you played in, remember that has nothing to do with the next game that you got to play in tomorrow. And you don't want to get cocky and end up getting punched in the mouth unexpectedly again. You don't want to end up getting Buster Douglas like Mike Tyson did, because you figured that just because you're Mike Tyson, that you could just walk into the fight and everything's going to work out. And he learned the hard way that it doesn't work that way. Same way that the hare learned in that story in the race against the tortoise. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is that's why we play the games. Number 2, any situation in which you are not given a chance, you are barely considered, and or you are not even looked at as a serious contender to succeed, is a great opportunity for you. Any of you who is a competitor, any of you who, especially those of you who have played a sport or any performance-based work, these are opportunities that we love. These opportunities are actually these opportunities are golden opportunities for us. A situation where you're not given a chance, you're barely considered, no one's looking at you as someone who's going to do anything. That's a great opportunity if you are actually good. Because in those situations, assuming that you have game, but nobody's expecting you to be good because nobody knows about your game, you can basically surprise your opponents. You can surprise the spectators. You can surprise any opposition and the general public, simply because nobody was thinking about you, planning for you, planning against you, and thus they will not have a game plan on what to do about you when you emerge as being better than they expected, or you emerge as being somebody and they didn't even notice that you existed. So you can surprise everybody when you come out this way. But actually, let me say it this way. But the game is completely different the next time you show up, because see, you can surprise people one time with one thing. You can't surprise the same person with the same thing twice. You only surprise the same person. You only surprise one person with one thing once. So if you show up somewhere and nobody knows who you are and no one is thinking of you as anybody worth paying attention to, and then you surprise everybody by winning, now everybody's like, damn, I didn't see this person coming, but they won. Damn, they were better than we thought. We should have considered them. Well, next time you show up, guess what? Everybody's going to remember you from the last time. Oh, yeah, that's that person right there. They're good. All right, so now we're watching you. Now everybody's watching you. So what happens next time? Next time, everybody knows about you. Everyone respects your ability. And if you happen to have won last time, well, guess what? Everybody now has dissected how you won. They've looked at you and they're figuring out, okay, how do we beat this person the next time they show up? Everybody's trying to figure that out now. So in a general sense, this surprising people because you are unknown, that only works one time and then it doesn't work anymore. So who are you the next time you show up? And I'm talking about not who are you, you're still the same person, but mentally, what's going to drive you the second time? Because the first time it was, okay, nobody believes in me. But you can only say nobody believes in you one time, because the second time, now they do believe in you. You just proved, you gave them a whole bunch of reasons to believe. So now you got everybody's attention. Now you got to make it count that one time you surprised them. But now what do you do next time? Because every time after that, everyone's noticing you and you're going to need a different approach, at least mentally. The second, third, fourth, and fifth times, how do you keep showing up and finding ways to succeed? So you look at anyone who's been successful over and over and over again, you should listen to what they talk about whenever they're interviewed. They are asked this question: what is it that drives you to keep trying? What is it that drives you to do the next one? Because you won all the last one. So it's not like you're trying to redeem yourself. It's not like you lost the last one and you need to get some get back. It's not like you need to get revenge on the person who beat you last time, because nobody's beaten you yet. What is it that is moving you to go do it again? So you look at a fighter who's been undefeated in their career. You look at somebody like Floyd Mayweather as a boxer. You look at somebody like Michael Jordan as a basketball player, or any sports team that's won back-to-back championships, or they have a really long winning streak in terms of winning the championships. What is it that keeps you going? And at some point it becomes an internal challenge, you against yourself, because again, it's not like you can measure yourself against the competition because you beat them already. So what is it? Point number 3, today's topic once again, is that's why we play the games. Number 3, remember something. You are not a champion in life, any aspect of life, until you're in a situation that looks like a sure defeat, but you turn what looks like a defeat into a victory. That's what makes you a champion. What this means for you in this situation that, when you find yourself in this spot that you don't want to be in, it seems to not be working in your favor, you got to keep playing the game. Because a champion can't be a champion by only winning games that are set up for you to be successful. A champion can't be a champion by only winning what we call home games. To be a champion, you have to win some of the away games, or what we call road games, where you got to go on the road into a place that is not familiar to you, in the sports world we call it a hostile environment. You have to go in those places and you have to win some of those games. You may not win all of them, but you got to win some of them. If you're a salesperson, you got the sales that are pretty easy and they're slam dunk sales and you're going to close them, and you do. Then you have those that are, no way, this person is not really a true prospect, they're more of a suspect. Maybe they don't have the money, they're not serious about buying. You're not going to sell them no matter what you do. Then all the other sales are in the middle, that they could go either way. You could close them and make the money. You could not close them and miss the sale. You are probably not going to close 100% of them, but you got to close a good amount of them if you want to build a career as a salesperson. You can't only sell the easy ones. You got to sell some of the in-between ones. You got to close some of those. It's the same thing in the sports world. You want to win as many home games as possible, and teams usually play better at home because you have a more comfortable environment. You're not going to win every game you play on the road, but you got to win some of them. Can't win the championship only winning games at home, right? Because half the games are on the road, half the games are at home. How many 500, we call that a 500 team, because your winning percentage is 550%. How many 500 teams win championships? The answer is not many. Teams that win championships win a bunch of home games and they win a bunch of road games, and they're able to win even in unfamiliar environments and in hostile territories because they're mentally tough and mentally built to win in situations that are not set up for them to be successful. And nobody's cheering for them, they win anyway. That's a mental challenge, folks, not a physical challenge. So to be a champion, you have to turn what looks like something that's set up for a defeat, you got to be able to turn it into a victory. So what this means for you is when you find yourself in those situations, keep playing. Remember the old school sayings that it's not over till the fat lady sings, or it's not over till it's over, or you don't lose until you quit. In essence, these are true when it comes to this subject and in this context. If you are getting beat right now, you still have to keep trying and make sure that your opponent completely defeat you rather than giving them an easy victory by quitting. I talked about this in the episodes on quitting or losing. When it looks like you're losing, what should you do? When it looks like someone has you defeated or a situation has you defeated, what should you do? I'll tell you one thing you do is that you do not quit and give your opponent an easy victory, even though it looks like they're going to get a victory anyway. Make them actually earn the victory. Make them actually do what they had to do. Make them finish you off. If they don't finish you off, then you give yourself a fighter's chance to possibly win. Give yourself, in the boxing world, they call it a puncher's chance winning, which means you could be in a boxing match, you're in round 10, and you've been getting beat up the whole fight. You lost the first 9 rounds on every scorecard. You're down 9 rounds to 0, but you are still standing and you still have your hands up, which means you still have a chance, maybe at the last moment, to knock your opponent out, even though you were losing on the scorecards the entire fight. I saw this clip of a fighter named Anthony Joshua. I don't remember who he was fighting, but this is a few weeks ago. Somebody had posted this clip where it was clear that Joshua was beating his opponent and was about to knock his opponent out. He landed a couple good punches. His opponent was on wobbly legs, and Joshua was coming forward and looking for the knockout blow to finish off his opponent, but he got a little bit complacent in the process of doing that, and he didn't keep his discipline up. He dropped one of his hands lower than he should have, and the opponent ended up hitting him with the right punch and knocking him out. And that's exactly what I mean. You can't get complacent or get sloppy in your disciplines just because it looks like your situation is a winner, because you could end up losing if you don't stay disciplined and you don't stay locked in the way you're supposed to be locked in. Another example I'll give you is a clip that I just saw from this TV show called Game of Thrones. Some of you are familiar with it. There was a scene in the TV show Game of Thrones, and I actually did watch the show. There was a scene where there was a sword fight, basically. Let's just keep it simple. Sword fight between this really big guy called the Mountain. He was named the Mountain. This guy's like 6'8". He's probably like 6'8" in real life, really big guy. And this other guy, they called him the Viper. And he's this little, not little, but relatively thin, skinny guy who was more about his quickness and dexterity, whereas the Mountain was more about his power and strength. And they're having this, basically a spear fight. And they're fighting, and the Viper, this little skinny guy, gets the advantage over the Mountain and has him down on the ground, and he drives his spear into the armor, the chest armor of the Mountain. The Mountain's not dead yet, but he's pretty close. And the Viper, but other than doing what he should have done, which is pull that spear and just chop this guy's head off and kill him, make sure he's dead, what he wanted to do was get this guy to confess to doing something wrong to his family that he had done. He was basically trying to avenge a death that happened in his family, et cetera, et cetera. And he starts talking to the guy and says, I want you to confess first before I finish killing you. And the guy didn't confess, and he's walking around. And then the Mountain, the guy who was down on the ground, he trips this guy, the Viper, and then he ends up turning the tables and beating him. I mean, it's made for TV. But the whole point is, you got to finish the deal. And if you force your opponents to finish you off, what you'll find is that a lot of opponents don't have the ability to deliver the death blow. A lot of people simply don't have the killer instinct to finish off an opponent when they have an opponent down. They know how to win when the opponent quits because they didn't have to do anything. But when they have to actually deal the finishing blow, a lot of people don't have the ability to do it. So if you just keep fighting, even though it seems like you're losing, you give yourself an opportunity to win because your opponent doesn't know how to finish you. They don't know how to win. So as long as you don't make it easy and just declare yourself a loser, you give yourself a chance. So when you're being beat, just keep going. Don't get them the easy victory. Make them completely defeat you. And again, I talked about this in that episode. When you're in that losing situation, make them finish the game. The reality is, most people are terrible finishers. A lot of people are able to start things, they don't finish things. This includes winning. This includes success. So a lot of times somebody can be in the lead, but they don't actually win. That's the opportunity for you. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is, this is why we play the games. Again, this is the mindset of understanding just because things aren't going your way right now, or they haven't gone your way up to this point, does not mean all is lost. It does not mean you're completely defeated. Number one, keep in mind that this concept applies not only when you're in a losing situation, but also when you're in a winning situation. Don't get complacent just because you're winning or because you have won a lot up to this point, because you could still end up getting beat by an opponent who has been gunning for you, targeting you, and studying you because you've been the one that's winning. So you're the one getting all the attention. So understand, you have even more people studying and trying to beat you when you're the winner than when you're a nobody coming up out of nowhere. So the first time when you're a nobody, you surprise people, but after that time, you ain't surprising anybody because they remember you from the last time. Number two, any situation in which you are not given a chance, you're barely considered, not even looked at as a serious contender, is a great opportunity for you. The thing is, you only get that opportunity once, because once you show people who you are, now they're going to be expecting that from you, and they're going to be prepared for you the next time. So you only get one of those. After that, now you got to find another motivating factor, something else to drive you to show up and do your thing, because it's not going to be you being overlooked. You can only be overlooked one time by the same person, excuse me. Number three, remember that you are not a champion, so you're in a situation that looks like a sure defeat, but you turn that sure defeat into a victory. What that means is, again, keep in mind, most people are very bad at finishing. A lot of people are good at starting. Very few people are good at finishing. So if you force people to finish, usually what you'll find is that they can't do it. They don't know how to do it. They don't have the capability or the killer instinct with which to do it. So if you make them do it and then they don't do it, now you give yourself a puncher's chance to come back and win. All that said, everybody, in Work on Your Game University, we have our bulletproof mindset framework. You have me as your direct coach. You have access to Dre GPT, my 24/7 chatbot. You can get access also to our circle group membership where you get on the hot seat and I get to challenge you, find out what you're dealing with, respond to your needs, questions, and challenges, and give you direct orders on what you're going to do next between now and the next time we connect. All that happens at Work on Your Game University. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com to learn more and get started. Work on your game. Dre, all